What's up, y'all? Welcome back to B Name Later Reactions. Today we're gonna be getting into ranking the Kage featuring Swagkage. This is by the Masked Man. I never seen not one video by the Masked Man, but I do watch Swagkage videos on my channel. So it came across my timeline because it's featuring Swagkage. So we're gonna see what the Masked Man talking about. They ranking the Akatsuki. It's an hour long. So yeah. It's gonna be a long video, bro. But if it's an hour long, they must be like debating who should be in what order and stuff like that. So yeah, let's go ahead and start it, because otherwise I'm just gonna keep procrastinating on doing this video. So let's go ahead and start.
Money making season and being broke is treason.
The Masked Man, and today I have a very special guest for the channel. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Swagkage here.
Now, this is a big collab for me personally, as I started my channel very much inspired by the boy here, Swag, and I thought a good idea for the video because I've seen various videos actually ranking the Akatsuki weakest or strongest. Instead, I thought it'd be cool to put a narrative spin on it, and this time we try to rank the characters from worst to best written. Now, we can kind of get into this, but it's a little loose in terms
So just to get this straight, this isn't who's the most powerful, because that's been done a lot. He said this is gonna be by who's the best written character. How do you define best written character? How do you define it? Is it just because some character has more screen time than others, so by default they're better written because they have more screen time? So how do you define better written? Is it by who's more complex, who has more motivations, who has more goals, who has who shows more emotion? Like, how do you define who's better written? Because a lot of them by default just don't have as much screen time as the other ones. Like Itachi has more screen time than Sasori, and he definitely has more, and Kasame has more screen time than Conan. So by default, Kasame is over Conan. But does that mean Kasame is a better written character? He just got more screen time. So I don't know. I want to hear the rules of how they define that.
written. Now, we can kind of get into this, but it's a little loose in terms of how you rank them. For instance, some of the members near the bottom, they're at the bottom because there isn't given much to their character versus the ones on the top, especially the top three.
So the one that we have on the very bottom actually does have plenty of screen time. He's just lame. It kind of sucks. But yeah, there's like, if you wanted to, like, you could mentally categorize these into like different tiers. It's kind of up to you where you draw the line. But I think that everybody could agree that there's definitely some that like belong higher than others. And at a certain point, it's just kind of up to preference.
Right, exactly. So with all that out of the way, I think we can just hop right into the list. And at number 10, Zetsu. I don't think we have to explain this one at all. I really don't.
Like at first he seemed like really cool. He was like this weird like alien monster dude, the plant thing going on, and you know, this like recon dude for the Akatsuki. Well, I mean, like, that made sense. I feel like they should have had somebody in that role, but like that doesn't end up like that's not really what he does still do that, but
I feel like you can make an argument that Zetsu is better written than Hidan. Because the only thing we know about Hidan was that he's from a small village who practiced rituals, and them rituals made him immortal. And besides that, we know that he annoys Kakuzu, and that's pretty much it. Like, we don't really know much else about Hidan. Hidan doesn't really do anything else. So I say you could argue that Zetsu is better written than Hidan, because Zetsu has backstory. He plays a part later at the end of the war. But then again, is that written? Is that what those are like power feats though? He does have motivations. like secret motivations to bring back Kage. That's a big underlying plot theme. So that is better written than Hidan or Hidan, however the fuck you say it. Yeah, I say you can argue it. You can argue Zetsu and Hidan. You can argue that.
Like that's not really what he like. He does still do that, but he's not super vital because like everybody else is really good at doing his job, right? Like Obito can teleport everywhere whenever he wants. He's like, you know, he's good. So like it doesn't really feel like Zetsu's super necessary. And then he turns out to be like two different characters. Like one you can like grow, and then the other one just like attaches to him. It's really weird. And he like doesn't, and like he kills Madara, which nobody likes. That was stupid. Weird plots. Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah. No, but honestly, if your most memorable moment as a character is arguably ruining one of the greatest antagonistic forces in shonen, I think you deserve to be the bottom of any list. So I think we could just move on to number 9.
Yeah.
Now, number 9, he's personally.
But that's just Zetsu hate,
there's
though.
some moments where I think the concept of Hidan is.
I don't even like Zetsu like that. But like I said, I feel like you can argue that he's better written than Hidan, though.
Personally, honestly, there's some moments where I think the concept of Hidan is cool, but the execution of it for me felt really underwhelming, considering, again, the most memorable moment I can think of him isn't really for him, it's for Shikamaru. Like, it's not, like, I don't know, Hidan's cool, his jutsu's cool, but there's not really much to him at all.
Hidan is super likable, and in a series with a less robust cast, he'd be a lot more memorable, right? Like he'd stick out a lot more. But Naruto has some of the coolest, most likable characters in shonen, in fiction in general, right? Like there are a lot of people who resonate with all sorts of different members of the cast of Naruto. And so like the thing is,
if he was in another series, he definitely would stand out.
He's just kind of like a gimmick and an archetype, and he's not like, it's not like he's a poorly executed version of what Kishimoto was trying to do with him or anything, but he's just not better than any of the other members of the Akatsuki, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, totally. I think Hidan is a lot better. If you're talking duos, I think the Kakuzu Hidan duo maybe could rank a lot higher, them together than them separate, because I think Hidan for me I like him a lot because he contrasts Kakuzu, but here we're just talking about them in a vacuum. Yeah, exactly. But in a vacuum, Hidan isn't really anything special.
He did do,
I can see that.
I will say he does do something really big, more important than, you know, some of the people that are above him, and that's he kills Asuma, which is huge for Shikamaru, but like, I mean, that's not like a huge body, right? Like that's not particularly impressive or series defining. I feel like there might be even a couple people watching like, who's Asuma? So
no, but even then, if him killing Asuma, that was just more to push Shikamaru as a character. It doesn't do anything for Hidan other than he killed someone that we all liked. So I was like, okay, cool. So at number 8, we have Konan. Konan is a tricky one because I like what we saw from her, especially in that fight against Obito. But you and I talked about this before. She doesn't really have her own character at all.
Yeah, she just kind of exists in Nagato's shadow. And it's one of those things with Hidan, right? It's sort of similar, but it's like a different issue. It's sort of like the Hidan thing is that Hidan isn't like standout compared to the rest of the Naruto cast. Konan is sort of the same problem, but a lot more concentrated, where she is living in the shadow of Nagato. And unlike somebody like Kisame, who we'll get to later, we never really see her independent from him. And even when she is by herself, she like Nagato still somehow manages to be the focus. That's like all she's still talking about. And again, she is cool. I don't think anybody would dispute that like Konan is likable. Nobody's gonna sit here and call Konan like a terrible character or anything. I think she has one of the coolest jutsu or like power sets in the series. It's very visually interesting, and she did a bunch of really.
It's very unique.
But like in terms of overall impact, in terms of like it's really hard to like resonate with Conan because she's just kind of like a henchman, you know. With like the bigger characters, you know, you can look and you can see some of yourself in them, but Conan's really just following Nagato's orders because she believes in him more than she believes in herself. And then this continues when she fights Obito, where she's, you know, now her belief it's shifted to Naruto. She's got a lot of faith in him to do what you know, she thought that Nagato should have been doing. And it's again, it's not bad, it's just that she's not really, like you said, she's not really her own character.
Yeah, she's definitely she's a great support character, I would say. Like, I feel like she shines when she has someone else in the lead. And again, you used Nagato and Naruto as great examples there, because that just is the case. And it's one of those things where Conan is, she's just there, it feels like. And I feel like that's the majority of the female cast in Naruto, if I'm gonna be honest, with the exception of a few there. They're like, they're there, they do their thing, but that's about it. And also, she was there she was a part of the original founding members. She wasn't actually recruited. All of these other members, they're recruited, they're given a lot more time to stand out as individuals. Her, on the other hand, again, her biggest moment is her losing to Obito, which big, awesome, cool fight, but that doesn't really contribute anything to her, to add layer to her, complex, none of that. So Conan's just, she's all right. Like, I don't dislike her.
She's better than Sakura.
I agree. I think that there should have been more to her.
Sakura's trash.
She should have been like second in command, but she's... I guess she technically is, but she doesn't feel like it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no, because all the other members are so imposing.
She's also like fake second in command, because Pain was the leader, but Obito was the real leader, and then also Madara was the real leader, and then Zetsu was the real leader. Yeah. So Conan, she's not even. I don't even know where she stacks up in the hierarchy anymore.
Dang.
But again, I like her well enough, but just compared to the other members of the Akatsuki, she falls a little bit short. I don't even know if I want to say she falls short, because like that, there's a negative connotation to that, and it's not really her fault. It's just, again, like with Hidan, the other characters are just better.
So with that, we can move on to number 7. Now, number 7, he was actually my favorite member of the Akatsuki when I first got into Naruto, and I think he's super cool, super dope. When I think of characters that I feel like really should have been expanded upon a whole lot more, especially knowing the lore of his backstory and the weight of that now, is Kakuzu. Kakuzu for me is like super sick, but
we definitely should have got like some spin-offs, even just like a little mini series, just like a 8-episode mini series of some extra characters, because it's a lot of characters in Naruto that could have really used that, like Kakuzu, Hidan, all the Akatsuki members could have used like their own like 8-episode spin-off just to show backstory or show like a little side story. A lot of characters in the Leaf Village, a lot of characters in other villages, Asuma for one. Like, yeah, man, like it's a lot of characters in Naruto that has a lot of potential, but just because, you know, this is the story of Naruto, so they got to focus on Naruto. But there's a lot of good side characters in Naruto. So it's just a shame that we won't never get it, especially with Boruto out now. So
now is Kakuzu. Kakuzu for me is like super sick, but that's about it.
So Kakuzu's dope. He looks really cool, and he's got a bunch of like awesome powers. The biggest like criticism that you could levy at him is that he's bland, which I mean, I guess at like a, you know, like at first glance, very surface level, sure, maybe, but I mean, I don't even think that that's like true. Like, yeah, he's like stoic and he takes his job seriously, but he has this really cool quirk where the dude just likes money, right? Like he likes hustling and killing people, and I think it's kind of funny. And he's responsible for like a lot, right? Like he adds a lot to Hidan. And even though we don't have Hidan very high at all, I do still think that the chemistry there is enough to you know, like I think it makes Kakuzu just a little bit more valuable. I think that, you know, like him being responsible for one of Naruto's landmark moments, the development, and, you know, like showing off the Rasen Shuriken is pretty neat. Like So he doesn't move the story forward significantly like some of the more highly ranked members of the Akatsuki do, but he has some of the craziest abilities that we ever get to see. Like the hearts thing is really neat, you know, like his immortality isn't like real. It's like a different, it's a completely different kind of immortality from Hidan's, but it's still very scary and very imposing. There's a lot to him, right? Like I said, he seems like basic and bland, like at first glance, but there is a lot, you know, like that you get, like you can look at him and like there is actually like a surprising amount of depth to him, and again, he's not like when you compare him to somebody like Nagato, right? Like he's not, you don't like hear him speak and like have an existential crisis or whatever. But right. he's just really cool, like you said. You know? Yeah.
I think what helps put Kakuzu above Hidan and Conan is in the series of Naruto.
So far, what I'm noticing, how they're ranking them, they're kind of ranking them off written, but it kind of sounds like, at least for Kakuzu, they're ranking them more off coolness. How cool are they?
Naruto, it becomes a recurring theme of morally gray antagonists, right?
Yeah.
They're antagonists that have some sort of tragedy in their background that help you sympathize. I think Kakuzu adds a unique flavor to the Akatsuki, just being a dude, like you said, who just wants money and wants to hustle. And he's an extremely cool character, and unlike Conan, he is his own character, right?
Yeah, exactly. He's very independent. Like you feel like he doesn't even want Hidan around. He can do stuff by himself.
And I think a piece of something that could mean anything, maybe, although I would argue it's more for Hashirama than it is Kakuzu, but him name dropping Hashirama, being like, hey, I survived the fight with the first Hokage. God knows how he survived the fight with the first Hokage.
Right.
Hashirama just pity spared him. He was just like, all right, dude, yeah, get out of here. And then Kakuzu was like, yes, sir.
Returns to his village, and that's why they torture him. I was like, did you even try to swing at him? But I think now we can move on to number 6. And number 6 is similar to Kakuzu in the sense that I think both of them are cases of it's what they do is a lot more heavy than maybe what their backstory is, because neither of them really have that fleshed out backstories. And that Deidara, extremely charismatic personality, amazing fight with Sasuke. And
he's one of the most active villains in the series, surprisingly. Like he feels like a minor villain, but I mean him capturing Gaara is huge, and like, it gets the, you know, the story rolling and shippuden. Without that, a lot of major things don't actually end up happening.
Yeah, so he does do a good amount of things to push the plot, which is important for an antagonist.
Yeah, he's also our introduction to the larger Akatsuki outside of Itachi and Kisame, and you know, he lets us know that okay, the rest of the members are also really powerful too, because you know, he just goes in and he takes out Kazekage Gaara, and like, if this had been like any of the other kids from part 1, you know, like it would have been like whatever, right? But this is Gaara. He's like the big one, right?
Yeah.
Of the characters of around Naruto's age introduced in the Chunin exams, Gaara is the guy. For a long time, he was around, arguably stronger than Naruto. I'd argue that, you know, like during the Sasuke retrieval arc, Gaara probably was stronger than Naruto, right? Because like he flooded that whole forest with sand, did all this crazy stuff to Kimimaro. And you know, Naruto and Sasuke's fight felt a lot less ridiculous than the one between Gaara and Kimimaro. So when you see like Deidara come in and you know, just handle this guy and just leave like it's, you know, just another day for him. It's like, oh wow, okay, so you know, the rest of the Akatsuki, they're not playing around either. These guys are serious business. And like you said, he has some really likable, like attractive character traits. Like he, you know, just his thing. He's super charismatic. He's really funny. The way he just keeps egging Naruto on in order to put Kakashi on edge, like by bad mouthing Gaara and talking about how he killed Gaara, and like Kakashi just like, oh my god, no, Naruto, please calm down, and Naruto just doesn't get it. That Deidara is doing this on purpose. It's and his fight with Sasuke, like you also said, is great. It's one of the best fights in the series. He's just really cool. Also, the explosive clay thing is like really bizarre. Like, it's something like I would never have come up with, and I think it's like because it's
another
like,
unique power.
Just have like explosion jutsus is already kind of wacky, and then to make like clay molds that take all this time and are really delicate just to blow them up. I think that's super sick and like really weird. It's definitely like a memorable thing for him. Like anybody who's seen Naruto, you show them any one of like Deidara's sculptures, they're gonna recognize it's one of Deidara's things. So I think that speaks to the quality of his character.
Yeah. Deidara and Kakuzu are what I would.
He's really memorable.
Characters. They're two that leave very strong impressions in different sense. Again, with everything that you brought up with Deidara's ginormous personality and the extent he's willing to go. The whole art is an explosion thing. To the point that he, what was it you said again? He rage quit DC'd against.
yeah. Before we started recording, he
said he rage quit.
And, so like with the other members of the Akatsuki who killed themselves. Which is like everyone from here on out. Deidara's was like the only one that wasn't like nobly motivated, right? Like all of the other ones had kind of like respectable reasons for it. He just got like so mad that he couldn't beat Sasuke that he just like rage quit. He DC'd from the rank match. He was out of there, blew himself up, and it was really in character. Like it was super on brand for him. It was really funny, and I mean when I was reading that, I was like, oh my god, did he just kill Sasuke?
But I just want to bring that up because it was.
You rage quit. That's funny.
So now from 5 and up, I think is where we get characters with a lot more fleshed out, I'd say, backstories, and also a lot more moments to shine than I would argue the ones on the list and below. And so at number 5 is Kisame.
Yeah, I feel like in any other series, or like when compared to any other organization, Kisame would be a lot higher than in the middle. It's just like bad luck for him that he had to be Itachi's partner, right? And he still manages.
Kisame, I really like Kisame. He's the unofficial tail beast, bro. I really rock with Kisame. Like his shark mode is dope. Him and Samehada is nice. I don't know why Killer Bee got his sword, bro. Like, I mean, I get that it like the octopus chakra, but like, come on, bro, that was Kisame whole swag, bro. How you gonna take his whole swag like that? But yeah, man, I really fuck with Kisame though.
Like bad luck for him that he had to be Itachi's partner, right? And he still manages to be really compelling on his own. Yeah. Like Conan Solo, she's down at number 8, and one of the reasons is because she was paired up with Pain. Kisame is up here despite being paired with Itachi, and so I think he deserves props for that because everybody respects this guy, right? Like he's really cool. He's visually distinct. Nobody else looks like him. Like you could see like just like like 2% of a drawing of this guy, and you know exactly who you're looking at. Yeah, exactly. He's got a sick sword. Like it's barely even a sword. It's like a big paddle.
With spiky teeth.
It's still super sick. He's got his cool shark mode. His fights with Guy are all really sick and really funny.
The fact he can steal your chakra and give it to himself. This was before all that Oats clan, Kaguya. This was before all that, before the Rinnegan. The only other time we seen somebody take chakra was the Chunin exam. That one random ninja who fought Sasuke in a Chunin exam. That's the only other person we've seen like take someone else's chakra as like a battle technique. And then here comes Kisame, who does it in a much cooler way. He do it with Samehada, and it's just nice. And then that feeds into his natural chakra reserve with the whole shark transformation and all that. Bro, he's just a really good character. Like the thing about the Akatsuki is, on their own, basically each individual member of the Akatsuki on their own will be standout characters in any other show. They will be standout characters. But in Naruto, it's just so many good characters that it's hard to like for them to be ranked higher. Like if Kisame was in My Hero, Kisame would be beloved, bruh. Like imagine Kisame and My Hero, he'll be like the top. He'll be like one of the top villains. He'll be so beloved by that universe or by the fandom. Like anybody, any Akatsuki member for real, they all good. It's just they're all in the same show, so they got to compete with each other.
His cool shark mode, his fights with Guy are all really sick and really funny. You know, like he is also charismatic, in a completely different way than Deidara, but he still manages to be just as charismatic as any of the other members of the Akatsuki. Honestly, like he always has something funny to say, even when he's first introduced. And I think this is a big deal, right? Because Itachi had been built up for a while, so you knew who this guy was, like going into their introduction. Even when he was first introduced, Itachi did not completely steal the show from him, and I think that that's pretty. I think that's definitely worth mentioning because Kisame doesn't really do any of the fighting, and him being there, like you still remember who he is. Like he was in all the Naruto games that came out before Shippuden started airing, and what he did, like 2 jutsu ever, and they always managed to give him, like, you know, really fleshed out, like on brand movesets. So I don't know, I just think that he managed to leave a really strong impression early on, despite not having a whole lot to work with, and then he was expanded upon in Shippuden in ways that were like satisfying and you know, just like it like made you like him more. And his backstory is really cool too. You know, like he actually had fairly noble reasons for joining the Akatsuki. He was like, oh yeah, the system's like broken. This is all like really, you know, this is all really fucked up. And you know, Obito, you seem like you got an idea, so I guess I'll try and work with you, and we can work towards, you know, accomplishing some actual change.
With Kisame and everyone above on the list, I think these are the characters with the strongest thematic to them, if that makes sense. Like the strongest thematics.
Yeah.
Kisame, the main thing is his loyalty. And I mean, again, a member who committed suicide because he didn't want to spill the tea. You know, he ain't no snitch. And I mean,
he ain't no snitch. Shout out Kisame, bro.
His own squad member.
He ain't no
snitch.
snitch.
He didn't want any information to be leaked. So Kisame has a presence about him, and again, he's just given a lot more time to be impressive throughout Naruto than all of the other members, and they flesh him out well. They give him some of the most insane fights in the series, the one against B, the one against Guy, and all that. And so it's just there's a lot to Kisame, a lot more than I would have actually thought they would have given him at the beginning of the series. So with Kisame there, I think it's a fair ranking, number 5 with Kisame. I feel like that's just where he has to go, because next one, number 4, I'd say second or third favorite member in the Akatsuki, definitely one of my top 5 favorite characters in all of Naruto. I think he has probably my favorate backstory as well in all of Naruto, and that's Sasori.
This dude is so sick. Okay, so I'm not gonna hold y'all. If it were up to me, Sasori might be up a little higher, maybe above a certain Uchiha, but you guys probably wouldn't let us get away with that. So Sasori is first and foremost so cool. Like there were, you know, like Kakazu was as high as he was almost entirely because of his like swag factor. Okay. Sasori is so sick. Okay, like the guy, like there's so like he's got like his weapon is a dead Kage, and it's at the time he's introduced the strongest Kazekage ever. That's like what he uses to fight, is the puppet, like freaking Kage of that guy that he killed, and which, by the way, he did without that puppet, his strongest tool. So he's like a lot weaker when he fought the third Kazekage. And like that's just a thing, right? Like it's like you don't like linger on it. They're just like, oh wow, he's the one who killed the third Kazekage, and Sasori's just like, yep. And then he keeps trying to kill Sakura and Chiyo. Like he doesn't, you know, like he doesn't like boast or brag or anything. Like he knows how sick he is, and like the dude. So like it's impossible for like a normal puppet master to do what I'm about to say, because like, for most people, like Kankuro, for example, you got to dedicate all 5 fingers of one hand to one of your puppets. When you're first starting out, sometimes you gotta dedicate all 10 fingers just to one puppet, okay? And Chio does something that's pretty cool when she does the Chikamatsu's 10 puppets and she controls each of them with one finger. And Sasori was like, well, I want to be able to summon a whole lot more than that at one time, and obviously I don't have 100 fingers, so he just turned himself into a puppet and had like this string mechanism that like generates chakra strings so that he could just summon 100 and sick them on people. And he's like, yeah, when he summons them, he's like, yeah, I destroyed like a whole country with this.
A whole
So,
country.
Get ready. Like, dude, oh man, he's so cool.
He is badass.
When he first fights,
He only lost because of the plot. It was only plot reasons, the reasons that he lost. But anybody else fight Sasori, it's over with, bro. Not only do we got all them puppets, not only does he have the freaking Kazekage as a puppet, meaning that he killed them, like they said, he killed them without having them. And then he turned, imagine somebody fought Naruto, the Hokage, and then used Naruto's body as a puppet. Like, oh yeah, I just got the what is he, the 6th? No, he the 7th. Oh yeah, I just got the 7th Hokage as a puppet because I killed him. Like, and just go about their day. Like, he's so powerful. Anybody else in Sakura's situation who didn't have Granny Chio is losing. The only reason that they won is because he wanted them to win and Granny Chio had the antidote to his poison. So not only do he got all them puppets, then he got the Kazekage, then he got like this poison that even Orochimaru was afraid of. So like if you get sliced once, the poison killing you, then all the puppets that took down the country, then the Kazekage, it's like, bruh. The only reason he lost is because of plot. He's very, very, people underrate just how powerful Sasori was, but he's very powerful.
Oh man, he's so cool. When he first fights Kankuro is like, wait, you're Sasori of the Red Sand?
Like, people are like, oh, Sakura beat you. But no, man, I'm telling you, bro, like, it's not just, it's plot. That's all plot. Anybody else, you could put Naruto, you could put Sasuke in there, you could put Kakashi in that situation. They're getting fucking washed, bro.
I bought your puppets before. He's got so much clout, and that's just like the cool stuff about him, right? I also think that he's a really interesting character in his own right.
I think when it comes to, I'm glad you got all that out of the way, because Sasori is one of the characters with so much hype, but he has a lot to him that backs all that hype up. Like, he's not just hype. Yeah. And going into his backstory, when you learn of his childhood and you learn about his detachment, I think, from humanity, seeing how once his parents died, and I think he became obsessed with puppets, and he even recreated his parents into the form of puppets. And I think it was an interesting fact that I thought was so neat was he got so tired of waiting for his parents that's why he hates waiting as an adult. Like, it's little things like that I really appreciate being done with the character to really give them more personality and more complexity, because Sasori, he's this cold-hearted serial killer, but in his backstory, you can perfectly see how he got to that stage. And it's one of those things where I never felt so sad for someone who just low-key was about to murder everyone I loved and cared about in this current cast. And just because I know how the Naruto fan base can be, but I just in case there's some crayon eaters out there, if you so much as dare bring up that Sakura and Chio beat him and Sasori's not that good. First of all, that has nothing to do with his character. You want to do it?
Let me
get him, Swag.
Yeah.
Get him, Swag.
All right. So let's explain why that is actually not even that bad. So you take this character Sakura, who again, whatever. She doesn't do a whole lot after this, but so here's the important thing about her. She punches really hard. She got trained straight from Tsunade. That is what she does best. And also, she is a medical ninja who happens to be like really good at treating poison. Like the whole Sand Village is like sicking its medical team on Kankuro to try and save him. She's the one who has to do it, right? Like they can't.
Yeah.
So that this is point one, right? And they're fighting a guy who's really good with poisons. Now, if it was just Sakura up against Sasori, and you were like, well, he still shouldn't have lost to her, sure,
Yeah.
fine. But then you take the one of the best puppet masters ever, and you get rid of all of Sakura's flaws. Now Chio is able to control her. Right, so Sakura doesn't have to make any decisions. She doesn't have to worry about being quick or having like really solid reflexes. Chio's got all that covered for her.
Yeah.
You give her the ultimate antidote to Sasori's best weapon, his poison. And like Chio comes in there, she literally knows everything about him. She's his fucking grandma, right? Like,
right.
Imagine any of you guys' grandmas pulls up as a badass ninja, and like you gotta fight her, and she's also got like this other really powerful person with her, and yeah, I don't know, man. You might get.
She might get messed up.
She might, She might be like, well, actually, he really likes this, and this is how he does X, Y, and Z. You know, like it. And
exactly.
the other thing about it too is like she was packing the strongest puppets of all time. And also Sasori let them win, so
right,
Yeah.
exactly. Sasori again.
Then at the end of the day, yeah,
died in the embrace.
he
of his
let them
parents,
win.
Which again, knowing his backstory for me was like I love how that ended with him. I just like you know. So if you want to throw a little hissy fit that he lost to in 2021, I just don't know. I don't know.
I'm just saying the resources are out there. You could be educated about this if you comment that you are letting everybody know that you could have known all this and you chose not to. That's
Have you seen that one video? I forget that it was like, "Hi, my name's Jeffrey. I'm 19 and I never learned how to fucking read." Like it's like a video like that. I'll play the clip, but that's exactly what ran through my mind.
What up? I'm Jared. I'm 19, and I never fucking learned how to read.
Sasori, easy
like-
number 4. Easy number 4 for sure.
Yeah, again, maybe if he deserves would be a little bit higher, maybe number 3, but that's
Higher above the next
Yeah.
person. Do you?
So
want
who's
me to
number
get
3?
Dislikes out of the way now, or do?
so real talk. Number 3,
Itachi?
So some people are gonna think we don't have him high enough as it is, and like
I see the
to
fingernails.
be honest,
That's Itachi, ain't
I
it?
do get it. Number 3 is Itachi. And Itachi's great. Don't get me wrong. Like in terms of like swag factor, like we were just talking about with Sasori, Itachi's got that in spades. He has some of the coolest moments in the whole series.
I think his backstory and the way he was written is better than Pain. It's at least more impactful to me than Pain. Having to do that to your entire village and clan and keep that secret, and you was the villain, but you was really the good guy, but you had to play the villain, and that seems more well written to me than Nagato's story.
Itachi's got that in spades. He has some of the coolest moments in the whole series. I think he has maybe like the hardest line ever when Kabuto's like, the reanimation jutsu doesn't have any flaws. So, and Itachi's like, actually, your jutsu does have one flaw you failed to consider. And Kabuto's like, oh yeah, I'd love to hear it. And Itachi says, me. Like, all right, that's pretty cold. So he's really cool. And it is at this point where we reach like a brand new level of complexity and nuance to the characters, right? Because these top 3 are all like, you know, like they are S tier villains. Itachi kind of straddles the line between villain and like protagonist,
anti-villain,
or, like deuteragonist, right? Because like he is like
deuteragonist.
antagonistic
The heck is
for
that?
a lot of the series, but it's because he like has
What the heck is Deuteronomy? Nigga, that's a Bible book.
and because he has the
A Bible chapter.
force for a lot of the series, but it's because he like has to be and because he has the character's best interests at heart. And so like objectively speaking, he probably does belong here above Sasori. The only reason I was saying what I did is because me personally, I really like me some Sasori. I think maybe he belongs up here, but I'm not gonna fault anybody for putting Itachi in the top 3.
Right.
Even if you want to put him at your number 1, it makes a lot of sense, right? Like the build up to his fight with Sasuke and the scene where you find out who he actually is.
That was wild.
Because like I've been watching Naruto and reading it since I was a kid, so it was like years that I thought he was this heartless monster, and then like Madara quote unquote pulls Sasuke aside and he's like, yeah, all right, but hold on a second, and he just unleashes all this info. And it's like this is like a classic example of like an exposition dump, which normally I hate, but for this specific, like it like completely blew my mind apart. Like my whole world was shattered when I was reading this. I was like, what are you talking about? There's no way. And like to take this character and redefine him and recontextualize him. And he was already great, right? Like when you thought he was evil, he was incredible as it was. But then when you take him and you turn him into a completely different character and manage to make him even cooler, like you don't ruin him, you actually manage to enhance him. I think that's like crazy. Like that is one of the most
that's some good writing
Kishimoto did throughout his like the entire Naruto run, which
is why I think he's overpaying.
I think the main thing about Itachi
/ Nagato
as to why I think a lot, I definitely couldn't have him above who's at number 1. No. I'll take that one to the grave. I'm taking that one to the grave. But the thing is with Itachi, the thing is with
number
Itachi,
1 gotta be Obito.
The number 2 character is a lot of Itachi's, again, motives and what really defines him as a character is given very clearly to the audience. Again, through exposition, many times not of his own. It's usually other characters speaking about Itachi. And in that sense, part of me likes Itachi. Like, I love Itachi as a character, right? But part of me really feels like for a certain sector of the story, he feels more like a plot device to push Sasuke, which isn't a negative towards Itachi at all. But I feel like he's, in comparison to who's at number 2, Itachi nails it all the time when he's on screen, and his motives are made very clear because, again, it was given a large expositional time to show what he's about, versus the person who's at number 2, who, for some reason, is one of the most misanalyzed characters I can think of in shonen. Like, I've never seen a fan base somehow miss a mark on a character so badly. And it's the same with Sasuke.
It's so bizarre. Yeah, I agree. We can talk more about that in a second. I think that the best way to... So I'll say this. Itachi is for Sasuke what number 2 is for Naruto. I think you'll agree with me about that. And because Naruto is the main character, number 2 ends up just being more... And we'll talk more about him later. Let me just wrap up about Itachi. There is like a whole lot like of depth to him. And I do agree with what you said. A lot of the cool stuff about him does come from other characters, and that can be that can be a mark against him from a certain perspective, because it's sort of... Who
y'all think number 2 is?
Away from him. But I also think that it kind of works to enhance him a little bit, because it makes him feel even bigger than like just, you know, like he kind of like transcends being a person and is more like a force of nature, because he just accomplishes and changes so much in and about the world. And I mean, like the amount he was a really big deal, right? Like aside from Orochimaru, he was like the guy to take down throughout the beginning of part 1. And then I mean, like Orochimaru kind of took a back seat to him
for sure
throughout the beginning of Shippuden, right? Like Orochimaru was there, but you knew like Sasuke's big target was Itachi, and their fight is really cool. And like the first fight that Itachi shows up in is also sick, right? Like when he does that exploding clone thing, and like he teleports behind Kakashi and the personnel kids him.
And then Tsukuyomi's him. Come on, man. Iconic. He's straight iconic.
Like, Tsukuyomi is also sick. So I definitely think like it would be a bit weird not to have him in at least top 3. He has so many good things going for him. And I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to rank him higher, but we'll get to why we like the 2 that are above him just a little bit more here in a second.
Yeah, I just want to add another thing about Itachi is Itachi also has, again, one of my favorite personal backstories, and the thing that really secures him and the other 2 above him in this top 3 is the narrative weight that they have within the series. Like Itachi is responsible for Sasuke's entire character, and everything that he does to move things within the narrative of Naruto is ginormous. So he definitely deserves where he is, and like you've been saying, he could definitely go higher. This might be to spite some of my homies, but yeah.
No, I get it. It's really personal. I agree with our ranking, but
I would definitely put Itachi at least he at least got to be number 2 to me. He at least got to be number 2 because he was so well written throughout Naruto and Shippuden that he at least got to be number 2 at minimum. So on my list, he's definitely number 2 at minimum, bro. Minimum. And then I could try to argue that he could be number 1, but he's at least number 2 minimum on my list.
I wouldn't, but what I'm saying is you're not wrong if you think Itachi is, above where we have him.
Right.
But I'm ready to talk about who we got at number 2.
Right.
All right. Before we get to number 2, I'm gonna cut this video off. I'm gonna cut this video off right here, just because I don't want it to be like an hour and a half long. So this is gonna be part 1. I'm gonna resume it again, make part 2 for the top 2 people, and that'll be that. So I'll see y'all in the next video. Like this video if you like it. Dislike it if you dislike it. But subscribe to the channel too. We're going to be doing Naruto videos every week, as well as Halo videos every week. I'm going through the whole Halo series on my channel right now. We doing Skyrim videos on Mondays. We doing, what else we doing? Skyrim videos on Monday. Pokemon videos on Wednesday. I'm eventually going to do the Pokemon Arceus game on Wednesday too. So yeah, man, I'm doing a lot of stuff on the channel, man. So subscribe to the channel and, stay tuned for all that good stuff. I'll see y'all in the next video. I'm out.